Support for How in the Hell Did I Get Here comes from the Coloring Book Coach. Did you know it's possible to heal your heart and more through coloring and the support of the Coloring Book Coach? Visit thecoloringbookcoach.com for your free coloring book. Famous people can come from anywhere. But when you come from Minnesota, you're very aware that you come from not only the land of 10,000 lakes, but also the land of that sexy little man the world knew as Prince. This episode is both a tribute and a memorial to him. He left us too soon, on April 21st, 2016, and his birthday is coming up, June 7th. We have a special episode today featuring 2 stories about Prince, and you'll be happy to hear that one of our favorite guests, Shaunti Hendricks, is back and here to tell one of them. If you don't know Shaunti, she was recently featured on 2 episodes of our show, where she shared her crazy, behind-the-scenes stories of her time as a Fear Factor contestant. Be sure to listen to those 2 episodes, which aired early April 2019 after you finish this episode. In today's story, our Psycho Fear Factor finalist shares how she met Prince and what happened when they hung out. Yes, you heard me correctly. Shaunti met and hung out with Prince, and more than once. You're going to want to hear this story. I share our first Prince story with my sister Jenny, and it would have been fun to share this one with Carrie as well, since she is a mega Prince fan, and she also worked for him in his Minneapolis club, Glam Slam, back in the day. She says she met Prince, and he was a great guy. My story takes place in the mid-'80s, when myself and Prince were just getting started. I was a small-town girl who had her first job in the big city, and from my office, I could literally hear the doves cry. This is Kim A. Floden, and welcome to How in the Hell Did I Get Here? Quick note, today's episode includes swearing. It's the mid-'80s, and I've moved to the big city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and started my very first grown-up job, when I noticed my new office is kitty corner from a company called PRN Productions, otherwise known as Prince Rogers Nelson Productions, a company owned and operated by the artist the world knew as Prince, and even then, he was funky. My first job out of college, I was working for a man who I won't say his name, but he basically was a con artist. Looking back, I'm pretty sure of it. Mm-hmm. He was in an office with another business, and then I don't know, he moved out and took to his own office space. So we moved out to this building out in Eden Prairie, and this building had I think the first floor had tenants, and then every other floor was vacant. So it was a big old empty building with not a lot of people in there. Mm-hmm. So we move in there, and I start to think, what the hell? I start hearing weird noises from the office kitty corner of ours. There's birds in there. I'm like, okay. And I look, and it's it says, I don't know what this is, and it says PRN Productions. And pretty soon I realize, yeah. That's Prince's office. That's his main office right then. Yeah. And so this would have been 1985, 1986, maybe, right around that time. And I think Purple Rain, I don't know when Purple Rain came out, but it had...
It's 83.
83?
Or somewhere in there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just out. I mean, it was pretty fresh, but I wasn't a huge Prince fan, so I was whatever. But it was hilarious because my office was at the front of the building, and he was dating Apollonia then, mm-hmm. and she was about the same size as he is, and Prince was the size of a fairy.
Yep, he was a tiny little sexy man.
Yes, and he was he was delicate. I don't know how to put it, but he was just, but he did have something about him. I mean, he definitely, right. Because I would see him going in and out. And anyway, she was also like that. And she would come flying in her purple glittery BMW. And then his dad would come flying in and out in his glittery BMW. So, and racks and racks of crazy costumes going in all the time. So it was pretty entertaining. And so then I got to be friends with the guy who worked for him. He was a super nice guy. it was just kind of boring around there. My boss wasn't around a lot, so I'd go take walks, and I'd always run into this guy. And I don't think it clicked really right away who he worked for, but then I'm like, oh, and he was just really a cool guy, and we kind of were buddies. And I think he gave me a ride one day in the suicide door car, like just a short distance, because all those cars, Prince's cars and the motorcycle, were parked in the basement of that building.
Oh, wild.
And I parked my car down there. The suicide door car was down there, and the motorcycle. So like sometimes on the weekends, I would be like, hey, let's go look at Prince's vehicles.
Yeah.
We had no money. We were just out of college. I had a group of friends, and we'd all get a little buzzed and go like, oh, we never touched him or anything, because I was like, dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one day I was walking around my neighborhood we were going to the video store, me and my ex, and I see the suicide door car parked in front of the video store in my neighborhood. So I'm like, oh my gosh, my friend's probably in there. I'm like, he is such a cool guy. Let's go in. You can meet him. So we go in there, and I cannot see him anywhere. He was tall.
Yeah.
And I don't see anybody that looks like anybody who would be driving that car, because I can't see the driver of the car because the video racks are too tall. And then I come around the corner, and there is that little cute man, Prince.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
He doesn't know me. And I was just like, because I was looking for the other guy, and he wasn't there. But I was like, oh, hey. And then, I tried to play it cool and got out of there. But that was just kind of like my cool kind of Prince, encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Shanti is in her early 20s when she first meets Prince, and in true Shanti fashion, things do not go the way you might think they will. He may be Prince, but Shanti is Shanti, as he soon finds out.
Okay, so me and my girlfriend, we were out at a nightclub, and then me, of course, just being completely out there. We're having fun, we're dancing, and the next thing I know, this bodyguard comes and taps me on my shoulder and says, I have someone I want you to meet. And I thought, oh, this is fun. So I walk over, and it was actually the first time in my life, because I'm not that tall, that I had to look down to meet the guy. He was, with platforms on, the shortest man I've ever seen, and it was Prince. And he invited me back to come have drinks. And I went back to his private room. Actually, he had like the worst personality. I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, the kind of personality where I can usually talk anyone underneath the table.
Yes, you can.
And I had trouble even trying to pay attention or even trying to come up with anything to say. He just wanted to talk about him. But my problem was I don't know anything about Prince. I can't even think of once. Oh, Purple Rain. There we go. He sings Purple Rain. So then I said, I'm going to go grab my friend. And he said, no. So I just thought I didn't hear that. And I just kept walking out. I went and got her. And I brought my friend back, and she had to use the restroom. And he looks at her and he says, no, you need to go to the public restroom of the club. And so I looked at him, and I don't know what came over me. I stomped on his foot and said, you little man are so rude. He was so shocked. And I think his bodyguards were so shocked because they were standing behind him, not even like I was a threat at all.
You're like the size of Tinkerbell. Kind of the same energy too, I might add.
And yeah, he just looks at me. And at that moment, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and do you guys a favor and just casually walk out. I could not believe I did it. Afterwards, my friend was like, that was so cool. You're so brave. And I thought, that was so not cool. I must be brain dead. Not because he was Prince, but Shanti, use your words. I could have just said, You know what? That's not very nice. Like I was like 5. Some of the reactions that come out of me because I've been blessed with that horrible no filter. And so sometimes when I think things, all of a sudden my mouth is speaking them and I'm regretting it the whole time.
Yes, that's what makes you you. Now, was that your last Prince encounter? That was it then?
No, and then I ended up going to his birthday party and then also
What? You stopped on his foot and you still got invited to his birthday party?
yes, it was incredible.
I didn't see that coming.
Neither did I. And the weird part is I just gave him my email and phone number, and then I got it in the mail, an invitation.
Oh, interesting. So, but you went because I would have gone too. Hell yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's hilarious. How was Prince's birthday
Oh
party?
my gosh, it was amazing.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it was incredible.
This wasn't in Minnesota. This was California.
Yep, in his Beverly Hills.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, even to get in the neighborhood, we had to show IDs and everything. I thought for sure I'm going to make sure that I do not wear anything that if I accidentally stomp on his foot, I would not have an easy getaway.
Right.
They could lock me in there.
Exactly. You might need to take a header out of like a window or something.
Literally.
Oh, but it was fun. You had a good time.
You know, the odd thing is I remember like being bored after about 5 minutes thinking, you know, it got kind of fun, but at the same time, no one was really doing anything weird. Everyone's acting normal, totally in line. And I think I got bored about after like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I made it my mission to try to follow. This is how weird I am, to follow Prince without getting caught.
Shanti is at Prince's birthday party in Beverly Hills, and guess what? She's bored. So she decides to entertain herself by stalking him all around the party. What will happen next? Be sure to stay tuned. Hey, it's Kim, and thanks so much for listening. And I really hope you're enjoying today's show so far. I'm just popping in to ask you a quick favor, which is to consider helping to support this podcast at Patreon. It's super easy. Just pop over to patreon.com and search for How in the Hell Did I Get Here, or hit the button on our website at howinthehellpodcast.com. What's in it for you? Well, for one thing, you're helping make a dream come true. And what's better than that? Also, we've got some great perks over there for you, including a chance to get to know myself and my sisters with a special slideshow from our lives, ad-free listening, discounts up to 50% off the merch in our fun store, and free coloring books and more. Check it out today. You can choose to support us for as low as $2 a month. We left Shanti in stealth mode at Prince's birthday party. What happens next? Find out now with the rest of our story.
Because I just had no other reason to do it. It's not like I didn't want to talk to him.
You're such a weirdo. This is why we are friends, because I would do that kind of shit too. I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to make a game out of this to keep myself entertained.
Yes, so I just followed him. I think I was there for about 2 hours. And I thought, I am so good. I need to go into investigation work. And I'm thinking maybe the FBI at this point. And then as I was getting ready to leave, the security guard said, "You're such a character. We noticed you following him within 2 minutes." And I said, "Why didn't you tell me? I was already applying for the FBI in my head." And he said, "You look so harmless." And it was actually the best part of our evening.
I'm sure it was.
And here I am, like, thinking, man, I am so stealth. Maybe I'll go look at like White House Secret Service work. I am so good.
We need to put a picture of you on the show notes so people understand how stealth you are in person.
Oh gosh.
You were socializing with friends.
Well, if you call it socializing, I still can't believe he invited me back and to the after Grammys party.
What? Where was that at?
That was at his house as well.
Oh, wow. And you went to that? And then what happened? That was the end of it. What did you do at that one, you weirdo?
I think I don't even remember this, but I was talking to my cousin the other day and he said, "Don't you remember I drove you?" And I said, "No." So apparently that means I had fun. And he said, "Yeah, I got to go in with you because I said I was your bodyguard." I'm like,
Oh, that's so funny.
"Okay." And he's like, "It was so cool. Don't you remember talking to this person?" Of course, I only remember stepping on I remember that I did wear a really cute dress.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please help us out by sharing the show with a friend and consider helping support us at patreon.com. To see pictures of Prince and his motorcycle from Purple Rain, check out the show notes on our website, howinthehellpodcast.com, and in our Facebook group. If you have a crazy story for us, call 323-488-3303 and you might hear it on the air. That's 323-488-3303. Or send us a written version to howinthehelldidigethere@gmail.com if you'd like to have us read it on the air. Today's show was produced by Kim A. Floden and features myself and our special guest, Shanti Hendricks. Big thanks to Silent Partner for our theme song, 7th Floor Tango, and our ad music, Blue Skies. Thank you to Shanti for today's story and to our sponsor, The Coloring Book Coach. Find your free coloring book at thecoloringbookcoach.com. And, of course, meet you back here next week for more How in the Hell Did I Get Here stories. Until then, pay attention, my friends. You just never know when you might find yourself saying, "How in the hell did I get here?"
I usually, when I want to scare someone, you go hide or you try to sneak up on them real slow. And I'm the type of person where as I'm doing that, the other person will totally see me, ignore it, and then turn around at the last minute and say boo. And it ends up scaring me when I'm set out to scare them. Why am I screaming?